hate everything.
This is a news show.
Sup, Nation? Hope you are having an awesome Tuesday. My name, of course, is Philip DeFranco, and if you are not familiar, this is where I talk about news type stuff and things that matter to me today. And today's Philip DeFranco show is brought to you by Phil.ting.com. Because, Nation, here's the deal. Right now, you are very likely overpaying for your cell phone bill, and if you're like, I don't want to overpay for my cell phone bill, I love money, I recommend you go to Phil.ting.com right now, because if you do sign up, you get a $25 Ting credit you can use, and I very highly recommend using the savings calculator to see how much money you will actually save. Most people will be like, what? This is a thing? And they're actually good phones. Like, you can go from the cheapos to, like, I use the GS4, which is sick on 4G LTE. Porn gives be loading like that. And the Ting guys came to the office yesterday to tell us a secret that, like, it should be coming out in, like, several weeks, and it's, like, it's game-changing. I legally can't say what it is right now, but it's awesome. And from that, let's jump into the first story of the day. In Detroit, police were looking for two men impersonating police officers who robbed civilians, and turns out they weren't impersonating police officers, they were police officers who were off duty. On July 21st, a concerned driver had snapped photos of all of this happening. The way it went down, according to witnesses, the two officers pulled into the station's parking lot, exited their truck with their guns drawn and badges showing, and detained two young men. Not long later, the officers allegedly pistol whipped the two young men and robbed one of them, taking a cell phone and a wallet. The photos were then put on Fox 2 in Detroit, and someone was like, hey, I know those guys, those are cops. And as of right now, both officers were arrested, but their charges are pending. One of them is a 20-year veteran of the Detroit Police Department, with the other man being a former Detroit police officer who had 17 years on the force. But then, of course, the question is, what is the reason for this crime, if there is any? Well, reportedly, one of these two men stole a cell phone from the daughter of one of these police officers. Fox 2 said that came from police sources, although the attorney for the police department would not verify this, but did say, this is a situation where there's more to it than what meets the eye, or what's being reported. They're not rogue cops. They're not cops on the street trying to take down innocent people. Well, that is true because they are the law. Judge Dredd? No one? Okay, cool. The main point of the story is, yeah, there may have been more than meets the eye, but when you have an off-duty cop pistol whipping a guy in the face, you know, you can't be surprised that people are like, what are you doing? Should you have called your police buddies or had like an official record of something? I mean, I probably would have done the same thing, but like, we were supposed to hold police officers to like a higher thing. In awesome video game news, if you are a fan of one of the best games to come out this year that was not Last of Us, the first bit of BioShock Infinite DLC came out today, and it's called Clash in the Clouds. It's where you fight 15 waves of enemies on 4 brand new maps. There are also brand new voxophones that flesh out the background of Lutece, some behind-the-scenes video, concept art, and in general, I'm not too excited. I'm not a big like, hey, let's do this for 15 waves kind of multiplayer, like I want to shoot my friends in the face, or beat a full-fledged game together. It's one of the two. But some people will enjoy it. Now, I'm personally more excited about the other 2 pieces of DLC coming out called Burial at Sea. Without getting too spoilery, it looks like some guy named Booker meets this girl named Elizabeth in this place I've never heard of called Rapture. Also, if you're in the comments, I'm being coy. Do not ruin the game for other people. Something to make Burial at Sea even more awesome is reportedly you'll be able to play as both Booker and Elizabeth. But the main point, this 2-part DLC actually looks really good, and this I will be getting. I'm already getting Clash in the Clouds because I got the season pass, but Burial at Sea, I cannot wait. Then, in a new scientific study posted by Benjamin Strauss in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, if global warming continues at its current rate through the year 2100, 1,100 cities and towns will mostly be underwater at high tide in the distant future. Strauss saying Florida is the most vulnerable state by far, adding that Louisiana, New Jersey, and North Carolina also face enormous difficulties. Strauss adding that this tragedy could be avoided with deep global pollution cuts followed by technology that sucks CO2 from the atmosphere. But if that does not happen, his current projections are that Galveston, Texas will be under the high tide line in 2030, Miami in 2040, Norfolk, Virginia 2044, and Virginia Beach in 2054. So I guess the main point of the story is because human beings are human beings, like in the next 100 years, there will probably be a lot less houses, but way more water parks. Then I wanted to mention last night there was a massive propane explosion in Florida. It was originally believed by the sheriff's office spokesman that many people had been killed, but all 15 employees have been found. 7 of them were injured, 3 of them critically. Residents living within 1 mile of the Blue Rhino plant were evacuated, but now the fire is under control. And ultimately, it's just lucky that no one died. As of right now, we have not received word from Hank Hill or anyone else that sells propane and propane accessories, but in the following days and weeks, we might find out how this happened. And then I just want to talk about some ridiculousness happening in US politics right now. I mean, we've talked about Anthony Weiner, his identity as Carlos Danger, the girl, his penis that just won't stop giving. But surprisingly, that is not the weirdest political race race in New York right now. Because Eliot Spitzer's name was in the news today. Eliot Spitzer, who of course famously resigned as governor in 2008 following allegations of prostitution, was on Hardball with Chris Matthews, and he was asked, would you vote for Anthony Weiner? And he answered no. And then everyone tried to make it a story, but that's not the story. He's currently running to be New York City's comptroller, but guess who one of his opponents are? Just do it. Can you guess? Kristen Davis, whose name may not sound familiar, but in the prostitution scandal that Spitzer was a part of, she was the madam of the high-end escort service. And because of the whole scandal, she went to Rikers Island for 3 months. She came out, no money whatsoever, and she's running against him in the same office. What the fuck has happened to politics? You literally have a former pimp going against a former John, or, how former. Who knows? It's just so great and terrible. Like, politics is just this sewer of stupidity, and we get to talk about it and joke about it, but literally one of these people could win. And I just had to share this story because it's just ludicrous. Then there was the news that Germany has a new title holder for heaviest baby born vaginally, and that is little baby Jasleen, who was born 13.47 pounds, measuring 22.6 inches long. All of this without a C-section. I know that we're all supposed to love babies, but at that weight, that's not a baby anymore. That's a little monster trying to kill you. But this is terrifying. I didn't even realize at first that this record was just for Germany. Jasleen's not even the heaviest baby born this year. That honor goes to George King, who was born to a British couple at 15 pounds 7 ounces, and he was also born vaginally. But the Guinness Book of World Records says that ain't no thing, because they say the heaviest baby ever born came in 1879, weighing in at 23 pounds. So the main point of this story is, after hearing this, if you're a woman, I imagine you may be torn. Vagina joke. And 2, for any of you that still have a dinosaur mindset that women aren't equal, just imagine if you could do this. Look at this baby, and then look at a vagina, and then look at that baby, and then look at a... It's really... vagina magic. And that's the real lesson here, boys and girls. All vaginas are magic. Portals to a happy place, or a terrifying, terrifying pit of doom. But the main point, that's scary. And of course, the final thing I wanted to talk about today was Bradley Manning. The decision came down today, and he was convicted on 19 of 21 charges. That included 6 counts of espionage, but very interesting enough, he was found not guilty of aiding the enemy. It was one of the more controversial charges, many people saying there was no evidence whatsoever, and because of this, it has now set a very interesting precedent. Yes, you do have Bradley Manning, who faces up to 100+ years in jail, which really at that point you go a bajillion years. You're not going to live that long. But now there is a precedent that if you have information and you upload it to the internet for all to see, and it does get into enemy hands because of that, which pertains to this because SEAL Team 6 said they found information Bradley Manning had leaked to WikiLeaks in the Osama bin Laden compound, that is not aiding the enemy. And that's why it was really scariest of all the charges, is it wouldn't just really affect Bradley Manning, but it would affect journalists, really any whistleblower whatsoever. Press freedom advocates had warned that if he was convicted on that count, it would threaten both journalists and their sources. So the act of showing the truth, showing evidence, is not illegal, but they're saying the way Bradley Manning did get it is illegal. And now things get very interesting when it comes to the sentencing. There are no mandatory minimums for what he has been found guilty of. And Manning's team was barred from showing any reason or intent of why Manning did this. Not able to show Manning's intent, not able to show that there was really no harm from showing this. But now as sentencing begins, they will be able to argue those points. So kind of to break it down, until this point, they've been just talking about the black and the white of the situation, not the gray, the intent and actual harm. And as of tomorrow at 9:30 a.m., the sentencing phase of the trial begins. And it is this part of the trial you don't really know where things are going to end up. This could be very, very lenient, or the government may take this opportunity to make a statement to the Snowdens of the world. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. Remember to possibly be pelted with an Xbox 360. Leave a comment down below. Maybe while you're at it, hit the like button, favorite, subscribe. Of course, thanks again to the sponsor of today's show, Phil.ting.com. Check out the calculator, see how much you'll save. But, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love your faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.